Start.
Bruce Colchin. Is that Colchin? Is that how you say that? Happy birthday. Thank you, sir. I made it. I've been really sick. I was worried I wasn't going to make it. I was thinking I might not make it to my 70th birthday, and last night at midnight, I made it. And I'm not so sick anymore. I feel a lot better, so much better today. I wonder if anybody's going to come in here. How's the volume, Kim?
I don't know. I'll have to.
Oh, well, I thought you could see it on a meter or something.
Well, the meter does work. Oh, okay. It sounds good.
Okay, well, that's good. John Wilburn. Don't croak on us, Buff. Oh, man. John Wilburn's here. That's really cool. Iceman. Here? And Dakota's timeout. Thank you, Dakota. Yeah, I made it. Happy birthday. Yeah, and Iceman says happy birthday. Thank you. John Wilburn, you're fine. That's good. It's so good to see John here. I didn't expect that. What is that thing you just put up on the screen? Something just covered up all the chats. What is going on? See, part of this is it's our first live, so we've had some little things that we're not sure what we're doing. And
when we started talking and the TV decided it wanted to, it's Jeff from Two Hacks.
Oh, Two Hacks. Yeah, Jeffro. Hey, how you doing? Man, have I been watching your project. That front engine dragster, I'm all excited about that thing. Although you keep calling them bars. Like just when I used to build airplanes, people would tell me the tubes were bars. And I used to think if they were bars, it would never get off the ground because it'd be too heavy. But you explained that to me. They're tubes. And I think you said they're like 16th wall. So that looks like a really good project, and I'm watching every second of that. Let's see. I'm surprised this many people are here.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming right away.
Thanks, thank
wonderful.
You. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I didn't know really what I was going to talk about. Have no idea.
Well, let's talk about the studio setup. We got
Two Hacks. Thanks, Buff. It's been kicking my butt lately. Yeah, I saw you build that jig. I had a jig to build wings with, and it was really in the way. And Kim talked me into dragging it outside. We couldn't even do that because it's so heavy, so we ended up cutting up my wing jig and put it outside. So then I watched you building a new jig, and I've built so many jigs for tubing kind of things, and I was really paying attention to that. So it's really interesting. It says Jeff needs a glass window on the diff so we can see the ring gear's teeth spinning. Oh man, I don't know about those. I'm gonna lose my voice. I don't know about those differential like right between your legs. Woohoo! That's always a scary thing about the front engine dragsters. Although I like them. Dave Banks, happy birthday from an old friend. Dave Banks, man, Dave Banks is a guy I hung around with back in elementary school in California, and then he moved away, and like when we were in, 7th or 8th grade, and moved to Massachusetts, and I was still in California, and we stayed in contact. Every year on our birthdays, we call each other, and then we call each other at other times, and we've seen each other over the years. And it's been pretty cool, because, I've known him since he was like 6 or 7 years old, and he's a year older than me, so pretty cool to see David Banks here. Wow. Thanks for showing up. What, are you going to write something in there? Oh, there's two.
I'm going to see if I can mod people because that might be useful.
Give John Williams that's another guy. John Wilburn, and maybe Two Hacks a wrench if you can do that. I don't know if you know how to do that. We're trying to figure this out. Trying to figure it out on the fly. The good thing is I can read it. I wasn't sure I'd be able to read this. It's across the room on a big screen.
Check that out.
Oh, you made it really good. I don't need my glasses to see that. That's pretty good.
I don't know how to make people mod people.
Happy
wow, we did the
25,000 day on Earth. Thank you. David Banks, earlier I was on the phone with him. He told me how many times I'd been around the sun, which, it made me feel like an astronaut. How many times I've been around the sun. I can't believe I'm 70. for many, many years, I was always the youngest guy at work doing whatever I was doing. And then at some point, I was the oldest guy at work. And now I'm not even at work. Kim and I work. That's a lot of days. Yeah. Dakota, you'll get there. Dakota, how old are you now? You're like 19 or 20 or something? I met Dakota, he was 16. And he showed up at Uncle Tony's. When I was doing lives with Uncle Tony, he showed up with his whole family. And that's when I told him he should be Dakota's timeout. And he's Dakota's timeout now. Oh yeah, I got my drink.
He likes telling that story, Dakota.
What's that? Did I come up with that?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I go, wait, and I run over to the car. And I go, hey, your name of your channel should be Dakota's Timeout. And he heard me, and then be 20 next month. Well, good. Wow. So then he went away, and then it showed up. He was Dakota's Timeout. I thought it was pretty good.
It was great that we met him at the race last year.
You know,
that was really good.
Last year we stayed in a hotel, and we went to dinner or something. I don't know. Oh, I know. We went to we went to Lambert's, I think, or maybe it was the night before because we were there early.
It was the night before we were at
It was the night before we were at the hotel, and I looked over there and I saw an old Firebird or Trans Am or something. I looked at that and I said, "Oh, I bet that's Dakota." And sure enough, it was, but we didn't see him till the next morning. But I guess that was probably him. Dakota's, I embrace Dakota's Timeout.
Did you see, you didn't catch the premiere that was just out?
No, what was the premiere? I was doing something. I don't remember what it was. But if you've traveled around 511 million miles for just the spinning of the... Oh, okay.
That doesn't even count the trips across the pond and
Oh, yeah.
trips
Then I'll,
back and forth
yeah,
from California.
because that's just the spinning of the Earth.
Airspeed velocity of a...
Yeah, there's... I've been to Europe a few times, and I've been to... I don't know. I've been around a few times. Defense contractors sent me places. Went to Russia on my own once, like 25 years ago. Went to Finland once. But mostly I've spent time in the U.S. U.S., Canada, and Mexico. I don't know. You told me you were gonna prompt me with something. I'm lost. I don't even know what to talk about, Ken. What are we working
Potato
on?
gun. You ever make a potato gun?
A potato gun.
Yeah, that's what they did on, and I can't remember why their name is. The name of their channel is escaping me.
Says
I'm
your
a fool.
lamination epoxy video is super cool. Hope you two will be doing
Oh,
more vids on it.
I'll get it.
Well, here's. Oh, you got it right here.
Yeah.
What have you got?
Your epoxy thing.
Oh, there's a new one I did.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a mold. This is a mold I'm making for something, but that's not the one. I don't think he's talking. No. I want the little square thing. Where's the little square thing?
I don't know.
It's right there. It's under stuff. It's got to be under stuff. It's the one that's the laminated piece that's.
No, I think you took it out to the garage.
I don't think so.
Maybe.
Well, I'm trying to learn to do composites that are cheap. What happened? It probably fell on the floor, went in a box or something.
It's just not here because I just went through all this and didn't see it.
Okay, well, what I did was I did a little layup, and I did foam, sandwich foam like I did with the fiberglass, except I was throwing away some old jeans. So I cut pieces out of the old jeans, and I used the jeans instead of fiberglass, so it's cotton. And if any of you ever remember an old car made in East Germany called the Trabant, and it was made out of cut up cotton fibers, and that's what the body was made out of, is some kind of, I don't know, it was a phenolic, what is that stuff? Some kind of phenolic resin, and they made the cars out of that. So I did one with cotton, only I used cloth, and it came out as pretty strong, so I guess I wouldn't use it on something that I expected to be like a structural part. But like the interior of a glove compartment or something, that would work really well. And the materials wouldn't cost anything.
Well, this was part we were
This
gonna.
is, I'm making a mold. This is a piece for the turbocharged part for the carry the air in the turbocharger. So I'm making a mold. Oops, that's the wrong way. I'm making a mold off this, so you can see. Then I got to make the other half of it. Then you lay up in there and you bolt this thing together, and when it cures, you pull out a piece of fiberglass tubing, and I'll use that. I'm making the hat for the top of the carburetor on the Valiant, so that's what'll pressurize the carburetor.
But not because we couldn't just buy a hat, but because we don't have all the aircraft quality stuff. We're kind of using Amazon quality cheapy stuff, and we wanted to experiment and see what was like good enough quality and how it like worked at different temperatures and stuff.
I'm not building composite wings that, if composite wing breaks, somebody dies, or many people die. So, but a piece for a car, like a hood or something, I could probably make a hood with that foam fiberglass sandwich that would probably weigh a quarter of what the original hood would weigh. And John wants to know what I'm molding. I have so many plans. I want to build an entire car. Oh, Kim bought that.
Spitfire.
Yeah, she bought a 1970 Spitfire. So that car's made out of Bondo, and there's some of the original metal holding the Bondo together.
No, the Bondo's
So, or maybe the Bondo's holding the metal together. I don't know which it is. But that body's a piece of crap. So I think what I want to do, Kim likes to take these old cars and make them run. She's like, one of these people that goes out and chases down a car and makes it run. Landon Custom Classics, happy birthday, Buff. Thank you, sir. So, she'll get that little 4-cylinder Spitfire running, and then we'll take the body off of it. Here it is. We'll take the body off of it, and I'd like to just build a new body. I don't know what I'm going to build. Some kind of cool-looking sports car, or maybe a little Jeep-like thing, or who knows. Just something that's drivable. And we could do it out of fiberglass or foam and fiberglass, or we could do it out of aluminum. I can build anything out of aluminum. I built aluminum airplanes for 40 years. I just design something and cut it and build it and rivet it and bond it together and did a lot of that, but it's always with aircraft. So I think I can do a car. What is that? Oh,
That's a piece of foam without any laminate on it.
yeah, this is a piece of foam with no laminate. It's a 1/4 inch thick, and this is that foam you buy in like Home Depot to insulate walls with. And this stuff isn't real strong. I mean, there's no strength to it, but it's a good core material. This has blue jeans, a layer of blue jeans on either side, and epoxy all in there, and then I peel plied it. So I'm finished. I pulled the peel ply off, so the peel ply sucks out any extra epoxy. Well, this thing, you couldn't break this if you had to. And I mean, you might be able to put it in a vise and smack it with a hammer, maybe. I bet the hammer just sprung off of it. But this is blue jeans I'm throwing away.
And that's a $1 worth of materials, maybe? Scrap materials.
It's
cheap.
scraps, except for the epoxy. And this epoxy was not the good.
No, that wasn't the aircraft
not
epoxy.
not the West Systems epoxy, which some people think it's for boats, but it's also used for aircraft a lot. This was some epoxy that Kim got me that's meant to do like a clear epoxy top on a
Yeah, like a table pour.
like a tabletop or something, and it's supposed to be clear so the wood stays nice underneath. But it's Amazon epoxy, and it was like half the cost of the epoxy I use. So this is done with that, and this is yeah, you're not gonna break that. It's just so inexpensive stuff.
I
So
mean,
anyway,
a lot of people, they go the obvious route of more horsepower, more boost, more, but if you come from the other end, it's lighter. if you have less mass, then you need less power to achieve, so if you can make a body that's strong and light and
The Dakota's time out, a Triumph Spitfire was kind of my first vehicle. I was 3 or 4 years old. Dad told me he didn't want it. Yeah.
it's only like a 1 liter engine. It's a tiny thing. It was just so cute, and the guy was like giving it away. He didn't want it. He had no time for it. And I was like, I want that. So I drove down to Nashville, and I had my trailer empty, and I was like, that's like a bad situation is when Kim's trailer has nothing on it.
Well, I was working in Oregon, still working for a defense contractor off and on, which that may be over. I don't know. I guess they could still call me. But I was out in Oregon for 2 or 3 weeks, and Kim told me there was a surprise that she got a car, and I'm like, oh no. I come home and there's that little Ritney Putney British car that's Bondomobile. So now I got excited about it. I think it's 1.1 liters, 1,100 little 4-cylinder cast iron pushrod engine. You could build a little lightweight body on that, and it would probably go good. Probably be fine. Landon Custom Classics, build an airplane body on it. An airplane body.
No airplanes.
Yeah, I'm done with the airplanes. I quit flying. I had enough. I got health issues, so nobody should be riding with me unless they're a pilot, and they have controls in front of them. And I don't know. I got a lot of friends you got a lot of friends, and you fly small airplanes, and they're little hot rod airplanes. You start flying like you drive when you're 16. And then some friends crash. And I've got 21 friends been killed in airplane accidents. And it's just like, okay, it's time to do something else. And I built cars when I was young, teenager kind of thing, in the early 20s. But it's time to do that again. Turbo Triumph, turbo everything.
Turbo del Campo!
Turbo everything.
We got turbos and superchargers, and we're just like, we're so buried in projects, which has nothing to do with me bringing more and more projects home. It's not
and now the new No Name Nationals monkey bike rules. Now we got another project.
I know.
But we can't talk about that.
Wow.
I don't know. It's like we haven't really settled on what the rules
not
say
wrong.
and don't say, and all that kind of thing. So we're going to do something. I got an idea what we're going to do, but I don't know. We got time. We got a little time to do that.
I mean, we could do more than one. For me, I was thinking about doing sticking with the tiny engine and just trying to have the fastest tiny engine, because I like being able to. The power adders. I bought power adders before the rules change.
Have you ever built anything rocket powered? Ooh, the only experience I have with rockets are the little parachutes that bring the whole airplane down. There's a rocket about, I don't know, yay big, foot long. And it's got solid rocket propellant in it, and it'll pull a parachute out and bring a whole airplane down. So I've been around those things, and I've had to be really careful around them, because you don't want one of those going off. It'll go through you. So I'm that's the only thing I've done rocket. I really haven't powered anything by rockets. Turbo everything. If you build anything rocket power, I think build another cross ram. Oh God, I wish I still had that. I built that. It was a 67 Cougar. I built that so long ago. I had my first radiator shop, and it was a 327 Chevy.
What year was it?
I did that in 1978 and 79. And it was a 67 Cougar. 327 Chevy that was, I think it was 60 over. And it started off life as a 365 horse 327. Then I don't remember what there was a machine shop in the same complex I was in, my radiator shop, and that guy was a small block Chevy guy. So he suggested everything to do. The only mistake I made on that is that cross ram had two 650 Holley two 650 Holly double pumpers on it. So you got to be really careful. A lot of pump there, you know, and I could foul plugs pretty quickly. So, but if you were careful with it, I mean, it just, oh, and then it had 556 gears in the rear end. And it had a turbo 400 that had the reserve
556 gears.
556 gears.
So when you just spin the tires all night long.
Well, it had a reverse, you know, the reverse shift B&M hydromatic, you know, turbo hydro. So it didn't have a park. It had reverse, neutral, then first, second, third going that direction. And a lot of times if you stepped on the gas and you had your foot on the shifter, it'd go into second or third right away. It didn't care. It just keep burning the tires because gears were so low. It was a fun street machine, but I traded that car off for a 72 Monte Carlo and a, oh, what did I get? 72 Monte Carlo, a thing called a King Midget Roadster. And the guy was going to give me an airboat, but my wife at the time hated the guy, so she didn't want me to have the airboat. So he gave me a bunch of money. And I was pretty happy to have that 72 Monte Carlo because I could drive it anywhere. Turbo del Campo does have a nice ring to it. I don't know, that's what's Ari. Ari always calls me Turbo del Campo. We got a Black Mercury Cougar over here that Dad built an engine for, still hasn't put it in, a 289. I wonder what year that is. I think I saw that. Was that a 68? I don't remember. RC Industry. Happy birthday. Thank you, sir. Johnny C. Happy birthday. Thank you. Kim Fix. Oh, you put in there. Hi, Rick. Oh, you're able to sit there and chat. Let's see. Oh, yeah, the Cougar. What a fun car that was. See, I had a friend at the same time that had a, in fact, he was the guy that I traded the Cougar to for the Monte Carlo. He had a Gremlin with a 429 Ford in it with a tunnel ram on it. And he also had 556 gears. And he had a C6 automatic, Ford automatic. And those cars would run right next to each other and just make smoke and tire smoke and tear up the street. And I don't know, I never got a ticket in that thing, but I didn't know why.
Troublemakers.
Did the engine fit below the hood? No, it didn't fit below the hood. Hey, you know, I have pictures of that car somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do a John Wilburn maybe and get him on the phone and show it on the phone. Let's see, what made you swap the Chevy into the Merc? Oh, I had a stupid girlfriend. Yeah, I don't know. She's like 17 or something.
Stupid girlfriend.
A stupid girlfriend. She was using my Cougar.
She must have been stupid. She dated you.
It had a 289 in it with a C4, and the oil pressure sending unit started leaking, and she was out cruising around in it, and she let all the oil run out, and the oil light came on, so she drove it home, which is like 12 miles. Well, you know what that does to an engine with no oil in it. Well, I had that Chevy, and there was another project that didn't go right, so I thought, I'll put that in a Cougar. I put it in a Cougar. So, yeah, just my stupid way of doing things. Let's see if I can find this. Maybe I can find.
The other Chevy you did was you put an Iron Duke in a Dart.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, I did so many engine swaps. I had a Jeep, an old military Jeep that was a customer's car. And I'm reading this, so so anyway, I had an old Jeep that was a customer's car, and it was a World War II Jeep, and the engine was shot in it. So the guy brought it in, and he wanted the Pontiac Iron Duke was a new engine then. Danny boy, happy 70th. Thank you, sir. A girlfriend who used your Cougar sounds like quite an operator. Oh, she needed to get home, and she drove it, ruined it. So I put this Iron Duke that the guy sold the Jeep while it was in my shop. Then the new guy that bought it didn't want the Iron Duke put in it. He wanted to put it back to original. So there I am. I already bought the Iron Duke. It only had 2,000 miles on it. And so I went out and bought an automatic Turbo 200. And I put the Turbo 200 up to the Iron Duke. And I had a Dodge Dart at the time. I had a 69 Dart, two-door, that had a slant in it.
Mr. Boyd?
And Iron Dork. I like Iron Dukes. Hey. So we, where was I at with that? So, the Slant 6 had 330,000 miles or something on it. And it was a smoker. I mean, knowing what I knew now, I know now I'd probably put valve seals in it. But one night, I just took my hoist and I pulled that engine or trans out of the dart, and I had a MIG welder, made a set of engine mounts, dropped it in there. It was like 2 hours. I had that engine in there, slid underneath, made it a little adapter for the transmission to the dart mount. So the only reason I couldn't drive that car that night is I needed a longer drive shaft. So I had a friend that did drive shafts. So he built me a drive shaft. I put it under there. Hot Rod Guy Garage, happy birthday, thank you. I had an Iron Duke before and an X Skylark. Yes. Yeah, there's two Iron Dukes. There's one with the little bell housing that goes in the front drivers, and there's one of the big small block Chevy bell housing that goes in all the rear drivers, which is what I had.
Doesn't that little rear wheel drive thing that they use to make kit cars out of, doesn't that have an Iron Duke in it?
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
Fiero?
Well, the Fieros have Iron Dukes, but they have like the front drive. It's a sideways engine.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then the only thing I had to do, I ended up using the GM alternator. So I used like a one-wire GM alternator so I could charge the battery. The starter hooked right up. It was just easy stuff. I used the GM starter. And then all I had to do was crank the torsion bars because the front end set up real high because it didn't weigh anything. The radiator connections are in the same position, but the radiator is kind of long distance from
This is way pre-LS. There was no LS when this Iron Duke stuff was going
this
on.
happened. I did this in 1980. Yeah. So that Iron Duke, I had to lower the torsion bars so the car set level. And I drove that thing around for years, and then I sold it to a friend of mine, and he drove it around, and I don't know whatever happened to it. I wish I still had it, because now I put a 360 or something in it.
So while you're looking, speaking of working on darts, the Valiant, also being an A-body, for his birthday, I bought him a rebuild kit for the front end. Because if you watched the video the first time we took it out, he said, "This car handles worse than any car I've ever driven."
Well, yeah.
And we have not taken it anywhere since. We took it out like one other night once we had all the lights working. And
here's the deal. Back in the day, I got my driver's license in 1970. And I had a friend that bought a 69 Dart, brand new, 318. And yes, the engine swap in 2 hours is good.
But these were nearly new cars. They were only like 10 years old.
Little tiny engine in a Dart. I mean, I could almost walk around it. So
you try and take stuff apart in a 40-year-old car, and stuff's breaking. You know? Brand new car, you just whoop, out, whoop, in, done.
So back then, in 1970, I had a friend that bought that 69 Dart, and I remember driving that thing. You go around a corner, just into turns, and it just was just solid, nice car. And then the Valiants are about the same stuff, and they always handled real good. Here we are 50 years later.
Yeah.
And I get this Valiant, and it doesn't have an engine in it, but we get it all going. Hopefully you've watched our videos, seen the engine installation, and we get it running, and we drive it to the gas station. It's about 2 miles away, and Kim's riding. Oh, there's no seat on the passenger side. She's in the back seat. And she goes, "How does it handle?" And I'm sitting there. I go, "This is about the worst handling car I've ever driven." And it was horrible. So 50 years does a lot. So now Kim bought me all the pieces and parts to do the front end on the Valiant. So it ought to be real good. Dakota.
Sorry about the metal shavings, Dakota. 400
Sister.
sounds nice, though.
Swap a bone stock, 70,000 miles, 77.4. What year is your... I don't know what year his...
I don't believe in... There's
his Trans Am.
400 in existence from 1977 that only has 70,000 miles on it. How are you... That doesn't seem possible.
Well, maybe somebody rebuilt it. Now it has 70,000. I don't know.
Okay.
So, and it's from a 77, so it's a 400. It's a 400 Pontiac, not a. Okay, 74. Yeah, 74 is a nice looking car. 75 is the first wraparound window, I think. And I didn't like the wraparound windows when they came out. I think the original window looked good. Although I do like this, like the 79 Trans Am, the front ends on them, that low front end with scoops. Was the Duke Dart painfully slow? You know, the Duke Dart drove. Well, you got to remember, I had a slant six in there that was extremely worn out.
Yeah.
And I remember it going, it drove about like the slant six did, except it handled a little better because the front end was so light. And I lowered it down so it looked normal. Oh, the really funny thing about that car is you open up the hood, and there's air cleaner there. It says, keep your GM vehicle all GM sticker on the air cleaner. That engine was in a Grand Prix. It caught fire, but the engine transmission is still good. And I got it from an old guy that had it for a long time. Well, good. What transmission in the Dart? The Dart had a Turbo 200. It was a transmission that I got in a junkyard. It was out of a brand new car, rollover. What were the little Pontiac? Can't think of what the car was. But it only had 900 miles on the transmission, so it was a new transmission. 77 400 can't much worse than the 74 400 built. Turbo 350 makes it slightly faster than the original. Anyway, the 400 though, then that's a Pontiac, not an Oldsmobile. You know that back in the day, all that happened when I had my first radiator shop, and somebody came in for some reason, don't remember why. I remember a lot of those cars, heater cores leaked. General Motors had a big problem with leaky heater cores in the late 70s. So it could have been a heater core leak. Car came in, I opened up the hood on this Trans Am, and it was an Oldsmobile engine in it. I was from the factory, I was like, oh. How do you do the transmission cross member and drive shaft? Okay, what I remember, of course, this is 1980. What I remember was I made a plate about this big, drilled 4 holes in it, and 2 bolts went into the transmission, and 2 bolts went into the Chrysler cross member. I just made a little flat adapter. It worked. It was easy. I did it all the same night, except for the drive shaft and hooking the alternator up. Even I somehow found a pressure hose that hooked the General Motors power steering pump up to the Chrysler power steering gear, and that worked right away. But you have to put a trophy 4, half of a 389. Oh man, the first engine I ever rebuilt was in an auto shop in high school, and I knew this old guy had some little Pontiac 4-cylinder car, and it ran terrible. So he gave it to me to take up to the high school, and it was one of those trophy 4s. And I pulled it out, pulled it apart, just put rings, rod bearings, and did my first valve job on that, and put it all together, ran, gave it back to the guy. I got a good grade on the project, and he got his engine rebuilt, and he was really happy. So the first engine rebuild I ever did was half of a 389, and I think it was like a 61 Pontiac. What was that thing called? Le Mans or Tempest or something? Tempest. Turbo Tom 416.
Hi, Tom.
Happy birthday, Buff. Thank you.
Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, thank you. You know something I really need? Should I be like asking people to do something?
I mean, I wouldn't.
I get No Name 500. Second year I've been in a No Name 500. I still don't have 500. I'd sure like to get to the 500 subs.
All these people are already
They're probably
subscribed.
they're probably all subbed. Oh yeah, you're right. It's a Tempest. It was a Tempest. There was a Tempest that had like two oval grills, and then there was a Tempest that had the next year 61 had like a little lower grill in the center, and I think it was a 60. Now that I think about it, I think it's the one that had the 2 little oval grills. But I did that. That was in 1971. I did that when I was a senior in high school. Oh wow! It was time on. When I fix that 455, I'm gonna put them aluminum heads and bought bigger cam. Okay. Wow. You know, Dakota, next year, I hope I see you at No Name Nationals, and I hope you're in that Trans Am again. I was always watching you in that Trans Am. Because it's good to see you in a car instead of being 16 hanging out at Uncle Tony's. You were 19 and you're driving in a drag strip in your own Trans Am. That's great. You know, I'm 70. I've never been on a drag strip. Been on other racetracks.
Well, if you get your 500 subs, you can go on drag strip.
Test flown airplanes. I've done all this stuff. Never been on a drag strip, and I'm nervous about it.
We better do it soon. You're going to age out.
I'm gonna age out. I'm not aged out already. Oh.
We got to get a helmet that fits on your head.
Oh, a helmet. See, yeah, I guess. No sense in breaking my head now. Oh, and there's new helmet regulation, isn't there? We have to get a full. Can't use that football helmet, whatever it is you have.
I think that's just for the mini bike.
Oh yeah, so we need a good helmet. Well, you have a helmet that has a rotten inside that it's melted or something. It gets in your hair.
It was a little
What
weird.
is that?
I
What
fixed
is that?
it.
You did? Okay. I think you're going to get to run this year, and I don't know what I'm going to run. I'll run maybe the Valiant if I have it there, maybe the mini bike, monkey bike, whatever you call it, or maybe I'll have something else.
Run the mini bike.
I might take something else. I really want you to get that little 1100 British engine running, and
that would be fun. That would be easy to put on the trailer too.
I could build a body for that little car like I do an airplane. Just pop rivet it all together with aluminum, bond it together. I do something. I could drive that. I subbed to you before you had any videos, wanted to see more. After the Lives of Uncle Tony, you always had cool stories. You know what? I really miss being down there with Tony. He had me there like week after week after week. And I had to go back to work. And I thought I was going to go back to work for like maybe up to 90 days. I told him I'd be back. And then that job turned into 2 years and a whole big project and new wings for some unmanned aircraft for the military. And then I had to go to another airport where they were going to test fly them. And it just went on and on and on. And Tony, of course, moved on. He's doing other stuff, so I'm not really part of his thing anymore. But we are supposed to go down there with the Valiant and do the turbo at his place. And we were kind of waiting for him to move, and now hopefully it is starting to warm up, so maybe we'll do that here pretty quickly and do some stuff with Tony, because Tony was really a good guy. He gave me a lot of pieces and parts and let me be on his live all the time, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. Let's see, my neighbor when I was a kid was your age. He was a senior when I was in kindergarten. And his first car was a 61 or so Econoline. His second car was a Carousel Red 69 GTO with Craigers. Man, that would have been a nice car. And the 61 Econoline, I had a friend that had a 61 Econoline. He bought it new. He's older than me, of course. He had a TV repair shop, and that was his delivery car. That's when they used to go out and service TVs and stereos at people's houses. And it had a little, like a 170 and a 3-speed on the tree. And he told me years later that was the slowest vehicle he ever had. It's that 61 Econoline. He said, get on the highway and they barely go 60 miles an hour with it. Drag strip is awesome, but I don't think I'm going to go to No Name Nationals. I'm afraid my car won't stay together for another big. Oh, just go!
Yeah, don't.
You know what? You're going to go right by here. If you don't make it, I'll take you. We'll put your car on a trailer and take it.
Well, I mean, come in something else. Grab a, something cheap and modern and, so you can travel cheap and then just go and enjoy. There's, team up with somebody else and just support and enjoy the show.
Building flying saucers takes time. We got to build a flying saucer.
No, we don't. No more flying saucers.
Put it outside.
Where am I going to hide it? The swimming pool is already full.
Some of the Econolines had a 4 on the tree. I didn't know that, with a dash lever for reverse. See, 1962 Ford. Was it a 61 Ford? 61 or 2 Ford had either a 390 with tri-power on it, which is like the 6-pack, or 62 had a 406. Those were FE engines. And one of them, I don't remember 61 or 2, had a 4-speed on the column, and then you put it in neutral, and same thing, you pulled a lever from under the dash to get reverse. I remember that real well. I did a wheel alignment on one when I was like 17 years old, and that would have been 1971. So that was like a 10-year-old car, but I remember the 4-speed on the column, Ford. I didn't know they did that in the Econolines. Are you the Bob Lazar of Tennessee? No. Bob Lazar, I'm kind of a Bob Lazar fan. He's fun to watch and listen to and everything. But, his thing, he doesn't know anything about the aliens. He just knew about the equipment. He was interested in the equipment. That's what he always said. And where I was, we didn't have any of that equipment around. And we were not supposed to speak to the aliens. We were not supposed to have any contact with them. 4 on the tree. Yes, that is absolutely true. 4 on the tree. That was a weird thing, because it was like first, second, third, fourth, and then neutral, and you pull this lever out for reverse. Really strange. Saab had, I don't remember Saab with a 4 on the tree, but I remember a car that had it was a French car, something like an Aeronode or something like that, Aeron. I forget what it was, a little car built in the 50s, and it had a 4 on the tree, and the third, fourth was a piece of linkage, and the first, second was a cable. I don't remember how you got reverse, but a friend of mine up the street, he was 15, he got that car, and I was a year older than him, so he had that car, and we worked on it, and he had to put it had a bad trans, and he put the transmission in it. And then, and what's a 15-year-old do when they have a car and they don't have a driver's license yet and their parents won't let them drive it? We put a stereo in it. So we put an 8-track in it. Maybe it was a 4-track. I think it was a 4-track before the 8-tracks. And I remember we used to sit in that car and listen to the stereo. That's what you do with a car when you don't have a license.
I remember that, yeah.
So I don't know whatever happened to the car. That guy ended up being he was a year younger than me, and he had some kind of a truck. I don't remember what he had, but he had a welding business where he went out in a truck, and he did a lot of welding for me when I got real busy. Yes, sir, I've heard of Saab doing that. See, at least you can power shift the one doing those. Oh, man. Well, the old on-the-tree cars, the Fords were really smooth, and they really worked well. The Chryslers, I don't remember real well. Kim's got 3 on the
66. I don't like
66 Dart. I haven't driven it, so I want to go out and drive it. The Chevrolets, I remember driving those 3 on the tree, and they'd get hung up in the neutral position. They'd be stuck like in 2 gears, and you had to get out of the car and go around and screw around with it.
Oh.
I hated those things because they get stuck a lot in that. Shifter was in neutral, but the transmission was like in 2 gears, so it was locked up. You couldn't do anything. Fords were always just exceptionally smooth. My dad had a 57 Ford 4-door wagon with a 292 2-barrel with a 3-speed overdrive, and that thing had 411 gears from the factory, so it went good. And then when you put it in 4th gear, you'd reach down and you'd push this T-handle in, and it'd go clunk, and it was a set of planetary gears, and it would go into overdrive. And that made the final ratio 288. So that thing had cruised down the road. But normally it had a 411 rear end. It was a 57 Ford, first year for the 9-inch. So it had a 9-inch in it. He sold that like for $200 for the whole car. I look back on that and go, why didn't I just go, Dad, I need that car? Should have bought it from you.
Hindsight.
I warmed up my 3V Mustang last week. What's a 3V? 3V.
3-valve. 3-valve?
And sat in it.
Oh, hold on.
What happened?
Sometimes the TV decides that you're saying some kind of trigger word, and
Oh.
I don't know how to turn it off yet.
Okay.
Go ahead. You can go back.
So it didn't like what I said.
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything bad.
Well, you said something that TVs are
TV thought I said something bad.
speak badly about the televisions.
So,
Hey, Lot Burns.
Lot Burns. You know, there's another project I got. It's in my van. Lot Burns gave me a 318 poly that's all in pieces, and it's really clean. I don't know if he hot tanked it or what he did, but it's exceptionally clean. And it looks like a really nice stuff, you know. So I got to find a body for that. I really would like to have a C-body Chrysler.
You should put that in the Studebaker.
No, I'm not putting that in Studebaker.
You got the small block Chevy.
I got a small block. I got a whole. The Studebaker's got its plan already. No, and then I've been watching Kiwi drive that 318 Poly from San Diego to Tennessee, and I got to do a Poly, and that one's sitting there. It's another one of my projects that
I always forget about that.
Oh, that.
What kind of transmission is any small block?
It's the same bolt pattern. Yeah, there's a 318, 360, I don't know, all that whole thing. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have transmission. You have a bunch of transmissions that'll bolt up to it.
I don't have a bunch of transmissions.
Well, you got some transmissions.
I do not have a bell housing at all that will... Well, no, that's not true.
You got all those trucks.
I got the truck transmission, yeah.
You got... Yeah. She went crazy buying old Ram pickups that have issues.
Well, the green truck is going to be our...
Thank you, Lot Burns. He says, happy birthday, thank you. Can't believe all these people showed up.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming in.
This is our first. This is our first.
It feels
first
really
one
nice.
of these, and I was saying to Kim before we came on, I'm like, what if nobody comes on? And then I was on the phone with my friend, old buddy Dave Banks from when I was a kid, and I told him about it. And he came on, so. And I thought, well, it'll just be me and David Banks, but it's all these people, really cool. So, I got questions for a couple of you. Dan E. Boyd, are you going to No Name Nationals? Yes, the one you have will take a 727A. Yeah, or a... What are those transmissions you have? Those are 727s? No, they're newer. They're 4-speed.
They have a overdrive in them.
Yeah,
and I was reading that you can buy because they're electronic transmission, I was reading that you can buy a manual valve body. So you can just shift on the column and then put the overdrive on a toggle switch.
You say electronic stuff, and I just go, oh, like drains me immediately. All these years, for 20 years, I've been working on fly-by-wire airplanes, where all the controls, everything on those airplanes, it's like a flying robot. Nothing's mechanical. And now all the new cars are like that. It was so nice to work on the 72 Valiant with no electronics. There's a carburetor and mechanical stuff, and it just, you know how nice that is?
Okay, I have a question because the 318 and the 360 small blocks are different. So, and I don't know anything about the polys. Is the 318 poly internally or externally balanced?
Ooh, I think they're internal. Maybe Lot knows about this, or maybe
weight on the
or if John's
torque converter or not.
Or if John's still here. The 318 poly is so smooth you can idle it down to 100. Well, I don't know if you can do 100.
Maybe you meant 1,000.
It'll idle below 1,000. My brother, when I was 17, he bought a 63 Plymouth Fury, had a 318 poly in it, and I managed to get a ticket for going 105 miles an hour racing a guy, and ended up in jail. So the 318 poly's okay. Oh, the stupid things you do when you're young. No, I wasn't 17. I was 18. I just turned 18, and welcome to the county jail.
Are the
man.
engine mounts the same as
I
like
think so.
small block and everything?
Yeah, in fact,
I'm sure it's fine.
Tony just did that video with Kiwi, and he was saying that the new Hemi will bolt right in, but I think the overwhelming view on that was everybody said put a poly in it, put a 318 poly in it, because and Kiwi kind of wants to do that. He goes, that's the engine that got us home from California, and I don't think I've seen a V8 idle below about 450 or so. Yeah, the 318 poly was just I had a Ford with a 289 in it, and the poly was rolled very much the same, except it was faster than the 280, noticeably faster than the 289. And it was a 2-barrel. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I've been looking for intake manifolds and stuff for that poly. I'd love to find like a 3.2 or a dual quad manifold for it, but probably just 4-barrel would be nice. Just make it a nice engine and put it in I'd love to have like a 66 Dodge Monaco or something. Some big C-body and just a big cruiser to go down the road. B-bodies are so overpriced now, it's like I can't even hope to get that. I suppose you could put it in they never put them in the Valiants like what we have or the Darts, but I suppose you could do that.
What, the poly?
The poly, yeah, they're kind of wide.
Oh.
For real, my grandpa was a Plymouth mechanic from 51 to 71 and told me about it. And I did it to a 65 Fury. It was idling so slow you could read the belt numbers. When I was in high school, we had 8 engines that were sitting there on stands. And we did learn to do tune-ups and change points. This is back when we did points. And we had one engine there. I think it was a Studebaker 6-cylinder. It was an overhead engine, so it was a 61 or newer. I think it was the Studebaker, and we had that thing idled down like to 200. And you could sit there and watch the fan go ta-dup, ta-dup, ta-dup. And then you'd open it up, and it'd pow up through the carburetor, and everybody'd laugh, and the teacher would get mad. Dakota, you have 218 days, 3 hours, 8 minutes to fix any reliability concerns. Yeah, I think he'll make that. Dakota, just drive. You'll be right. You'll come right by here. We'll make sure you get there.
Yeah, if you break down at the show, there'll be a whole bunch of people with tools and supplies that will pitch in and make sure you make it.
Or put a hitch on it, and then if we get stuck, you can drag us in.
Yeah, there you go. Depending on what we decide to take.
With that'd be terrible. General Motors car pulling a Mopar in.
Well, by then I'll have the green truck, the farm truck. That should be ready. That should be our tow vehicle, I think, this year.
She's gonna have a farm truck. She has a farm truck.
Maybe the van. The van is kind of nice though because it's indoor.
Colleen, thank you. Cool. Colleen's here. Dr. Art. Cool.
Hi, Colleen.
Hey, I noticed one of your stickers, or 2 of your stickers on Kiwi's car already. Probably between the weight of the forged crankshaft and the way the heads breathe is how it idled so slow. Yeah, it might have something to do with the cam and who knows what else. They will idle slowly, but
if it has a crankshaft anything like the old Slant 6s, they're heavy. There's a lot of rotating mass there.
Do you think our the crankshaft in our Slant was heavy?
Yeah, that's a full weight crankshaft.
Because Tony had cut a lot off that ground on it.
He dressed it, but he didn't take any mass out of it.
Okay, because I knew there was all kinds of grinding on that.
No, he just took all the imperfections off.
Okay. And then the other thing was, and it was one of our videos, is one night Kim had the head there, and she wasn't even going to do a valve job on it. I'm like, yeah, we should be pulling the valves off. And I don't remember why you did. Maybe you poured some alcohol in there. And the...
No, the seals for the stems.
Okay,
they were crystallized.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were
brittle
like little
and garbage falling apart. So I had to take them apart to put new valve seals in. So I started looking, and I was like, and so then all of a sudden I got out the die grinder, and then 4 hours later.
So you decided to pull the valves out. And then, one-eyed cat, hey, thank you. So, 3 speeding tickets, boys, 15. Man, I was 18 before I had a speeding ticket, and it was a doozy. It was 105 miles an hour in a 65 zone. And back then, that was a big deal. I had 2 guys in the car, and we're going down the interstate, and there's another car next to us. And one of the guys, sitting, I was in a 63 Plymouth, he looks behind me, and he goes, hey, there's a car catching up to us. And I look up in the mirror, and it's a 72 Dodge Polara, the ones with the headlights real low, and this thing is, I'm going 105, and this thing's catching up to me like I'm sitting still. And it's California Highway Patrol. And I asked him later how fast he had to go to catch up to me. I think he said 145 miles an hour. That was one of those big, it's a 72 Dodge Polara with a 440 in it. But I ended up...
that was still the high compression 440 too.
I think it was the first year for the low, wasn't it? I don't know.
72?
It was but to see that highway patrol car catching up to me when I'm going over 100, that was not a good feeling. I knew I was screwed.
That's what they mean when they say interceptor.
So anyway, what was that?
Coast to coast advertising.
Oh, that was a
special event.
That was the stickers he put on that car.
What grand bravado.
Cop motor, yeah, it was a... Oh, man. After that, 2 or 3 years after that, I bought a 72 Polara that was hurt. Somebody had put a timing chain on it and messed it up or something and crashed the valves into the pistons. So I got the car for cheap. And I ended up fixing the engine, and I drove that car around for a long time. It was a 360. And that's a nice car. Nice. I'd love to have. That would be another one I'd put a 318 Poly in. Wrong body for a Poly, but I don't care. I'd put it in there. Drive it around. I like Polys. They're just nice engines. And I don't know, maybe it's harder to get parts and things. And I know the cams are different because of the, everything's on a different angle there because of the way the push rods go. But,
that's right.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. I mean,
Are the blanks the same as some other engine, or is it different
no, see, what's his name?
Somebody in ass.
Slant Daily, he'll figure out what cam we need.
That's true. He has access to this kind
He has access to everything.
What roller lifters in it?
I don't know if they ever did that.
Can you put the
No.
340 heads on a poly?
No,
it's the heads that make it a poly.
It's completely different. Yeah, then the push rods are on a different angle to make that work. See, back in the day, they weren't Hemis and Polys. They were what was it called? The 2-shaft and the single shaft engines. Chrysler had, and the single shaft was the Poly. So the push rods kind of cross each other, so the valves go in. Yeah, Shane. So the valves go in at different angles, and the combustion chamber looks really strange. So it's a different thing. Yeah, thanks, Colleen. It's Shane I was trying to think of. But Shane will steer us in the right direction for a cam. And I don't want something too radical. I'm getting people all think you need 500 horsepower. I'm pretty happy with 200 or 300 horsepower. I mean, depending on how much a car weighs. As long as I can get on the interstate and, go faster than the traffic going up the on-ramp, I'm fine. Indirect connection. Hello, thank you. Yeah, happy birthday. Wow, all these people saying happy birthday to me.
Well, the name of the stream is that it's your 70th birthday.
Yeah, but I didn't expect anybody to show up.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. It means a lot.
How many people we have in here?
Well, the numbers are up there. Right now, I think there's 20, and there's been 40 different people who have stopped into the stream
21.
so far. So
22.
Colleen says, everyone hammer the like button.
Hammer. One of my favorite tools. Can you tell why hammer's one of my favorite tools? You open up that lower drawer on the toolbox.
You need a lot of hammers.
There's hammers and hammers. And then they get a little in there cockeyed. You can't get the drawer open.
Well, sorry.
No, I do that. I don't think you've ever done that. I've done that. But yeah, I have a lot of hammers. And then there's ones that are hanging up. And you got to have a lot of hammers. Our Newton's Garage. Happy birthday. Thank you. I dig your guys' channel. You know, I'm glad to hear somebody's watching this stuff. My cat. I live both worlds. Have twins. One slant and the other 440. You know, your 440 is one of the craziest things I've seen because it's in a road toad. And there's no room in that for a 440, but you got one in there. And then the 5-barrel. If that isn't the weirdest, coolest thing I ever seen. You're running on a 1-barrel and then you open the other one up. I like that. What's this? You have a slant. Slant. What's the slant in? What's his slant in? Oh, I can't even think. I always look at that. I'm always thinking about that 62, whatever it is, Valiant or what is it? A Valiant or a I think it's a Valiant he has. 62 Valiant or a what's the Dodge called? Lancer. I don't know which it is. My favorite is the Pry Driver. Yeah. I got a couple of those pry bars. Pry bars, and yeah, I've got one that has a hammer on it.
We got like every size of the little pry bar things.
It's another 62 Valiant, okay. See, my favorite of the road toads is the 60 and the 61, because I like those little slanty taillights. But the 62 is really the same thing. I think they have a different dash. When I was 6 years old, we had a neighbor bought a brand new 1960 Valiant, and it was white. And I went over there, and the woman they were like in their 20s, young couple, and I really liked that car. And she goes, "I'll take you for a ride in it." And I went for a ride in a brand spanking new 60 Valiant. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And the gear shift kind of swooped underneath the seat. I didn't understand that at the time, but because I was 6. But that was a really cool car. And I've loved them ever since then. And some people don't like them because they look weird. But I think they look good. I think it's one of the better looking cars Chrysler made back then. The other Valiant is Wendy's. Okay, my dash and wiring could use a lot of work. Oh, Kim's good at that.
Oh, man. We spent weeks, months,
You know,
fixing the wiring and the dash and all that stuff.
Chryslers have that stupid, all this power running through an ammeter on the dash. It's not good at all. And Kim took my dash all apart, bought a voltmeter with a black background and put it all in there, and now my dash has a voltmeter in it. I love it. It's great.
It's nice. And then we were working on the lights all around, and there's a connector down by the driver's left foot, the kick panel. There's a little connector hidden in that panel, and when we took it apart, all the connections were burned out of it. And that's why the stupid taillights weren't working.
I forgot
Tracking
about
that down, and we lost the footage, so we couldn't even make a video out of it.
The thing about you have the best stories. Yeah, well, it's 50-something years of them. 630 TT. What is that? 630 TT. What's Danny Boyd saying?
Slant 6, 30 TT.
I don't know what that is. Oh.
I don't know. You lost us.
TT. I don't know.
My mom's first car was a 2-year-old 63 Valiant. Like
Izzy's. You know, Izzy's.
Oh,
and Izzy's
3 on the tree.
Oh, 3 on the tree. Okay. That's a O, not a 30. It's a 3 on the tree. Another story about old Valiant. Well, no, it was a Dart. 1963. We had one car when I was a kid, and my dad would take it to work. And sometimes my mother would give him a ride to work so she could have the car during the day, but usually not. I mean, that was very rare. We had to go somewhere one time, and she called a taxi, and I'm like, don't call the yellow cab. Don't call the yellow cab. There's a new cab company, and they got light blue cabs, and you got these Dodge Darts, and you get. My mother called them, and this taxi shows up, and it was a brand spanking new '63 Dodge Dart 4-door with a slant six in it and an automatic, and I went for a ride in it. It was like, man, I got to ride in that. I love '63 Darts. Like, oh God, the bulkhead connector. Oh yeah, bulkhead connector. And Kim is really good at. I'll go in and half-ass clean some green crud out, and she'll like a few minutes later, she's got the same component apart and detailing it all out and making it look new, and they work well. So I kind of let her do that stuff.
And we had to put different flashers in it for the LEDs.
Oh, we put.
Because they move really low voltage. It's not enough to make it go back and forth. So you have to have a third independent ground, so it always flashes whether there's a light on it or not.
The
a
side
load on it or not.
The side marker lights were busted, just the crumbled, and somebody had taped them in place with tape. So we pulled those out. I bought a set of side markers from Mexican Spec, and they got here pretty. Mostly they got hung up in Florida in customs, but they got hung up in the U.S., not in Mexico. They went through Mexico like in 3 days. So anyway, we got them.
Weeks.
And I was stuck in.
Every day he's like clicking on the postal service, like, where is it? Where is it?
I got a tracking number. It's sitting in Miami for.
And when we finally had the money and the time to order them, it turned out like they made it into Florida on like Black Friday. So like they were just gone, no tracking. They just lost.
So we got them, and I installed those, and then the old turn signals like, you can hardly see them, and they're dim. You know how cars are. I hate it. So Kim had done the headlight switch and the turn signal switch, and fixed a bunch of wiring up under the dash, and I bought all LEDs for that car with the exception of the headlights, because I don't want LED headlights, and that'll look stupid. So put all LEDs in all the other positions, turn signals, tail lights, stop lights, all that stuff, and side marker lights. And then, of course, the turn signals won't work because they don't draw enough power. So Kim bought a couple of, what do you call them, the flashers. One for the emergency flashers and one for the turn signals.
We have so much time and money and energy. Well, not so much money, but a lot of time and energy in that.
It's
just plain Jane 4-door car.
It just looks so good to get in that thing at night. And we put new headlights in it that are original type headlights, the old seal beams. So that's right. And then and all the turn signals and brake lights and everything looks like a new car. Wash the inside out. The other thing I do on the reflectors, like in the backup lights,
the reverse lights, yeah.
They're some kind of silver color that's it doesn't reflect light very well. I always go in there with a paintbrush and I paint the inside of the reflectors white, because white reflects more light than anything else. So you do that and put new light bulbs and everything. It just looks so good to see those lights. It's like a new car when you step on the brake. They're instant and they're nice, So I like that. But I don't want LED headlights. That'll look terrible. LEDs can F with EECs. When used in the dash, especially the check engine light and trade. Oh, okay. In the Prindle or Print 2-1.
Yeah, I don't think we used LEDs in the dash.
We did not use them in the dash.
No.
And the reason why is because
the dimmer.
I want it to dim properly. So the dash has got light bulbs in it, but they get, there's some indications in there that they've been too hot over, 50 years of incandescent lights. So yeah, EECs, ECUs. Oh yeah. You got to be careful where you put LEDs on things where they're worn. But the thing about the 72 Valiant is it's just straight wiring. There's no funny business. There's no electronics. It's just the most electronic thing in there is the flasher, which is a little thing that heats up and clicks, So it's just
I think we have an electronic voltage regulator now for the under hood wiring. I think I had to buy a voltage regulator because I think in all the stuff that we got, we didn't have one. So I bought one, and I think it's an electronic one. But it's still the regular, the voltage regulator in the dash is still the old school manual one, but the one under the hood is...
Danny Boyd says, I would only put LEDs in reverse lights and truck cargo light. Well, truck cargo light, yeah, that would be nice. Reverse lights, it's nice. Here's where I really like the LEDs, is they're bright, but they're not overly bright. You know, they're behind red lenses, and they're cool. Because like my reverse lights, well, those were reverse lights, but my reverse lights, no, it wasn't the reverse lights. It was a license plate light. Inside that original plastic thing from Chrysler, it was melted. So I ended up turning it upside down so the melted part is not sagging into the light, and I put an LED in there, but they're cool. So yeah, I don't have to worry about them overheating. And heat is a problem incandescents. The other thing with incandescents, used to be you go buy LEDs, they're really expensive, but now they're not so expensive anymore. And just finding non-LEDs is tough. I put LEDs in the satellite dash. I missed one here. I have the louvered twilights on my 71. Not sure what those are. They're nice and bright. Looks killer. I also did LED headlights because they draw less power. The LED headlights, the thing you have to be careful with LED headlights is you get ones that have good lenses or good reflectors so that they adjust properly. Because some of these LED headlights, they just blah out in front of you, and it blinds everybody coming the other way. So if you buy high quality LEDs that you can adjust them, they got a nice cutoff. My former wife bought some car, Japanese car, had LEDs in it, and that car I drove, that thing had a cutoff that was so good. It was so bright right up to one point, and then just stopped. So I knew I wasn't blinding anybody coming at me. I don't like these ones that are unadjustable junk, you know. I put
indirect connection. Does your
satellite dish
fuel gauge work in that car?
I'm guessing it's a voltage issue. You know, there's a voltage regulator in there. You rebuilt my voltage regulator, and then you replaced it, or you just...
No, the one in the dash is just rebuilt, but the one under the hood is...
Okay. Who is this? Taillights. I have louvered... Oh, twilights. Taillights. Oh, now I know exactly what you mean. On my 71, they're nice and bright. Yeah, I've really become kind of a fan of LEDs because they're cool and they don't draw a lot of power. But there's a time and a place, and some places they're not good.
It's not that they don't produce the resistance; they don't draw enough current.
They don't draw enough current. That's right.
So they're not detected that they're even existing.
Right.
Even though they're on.
The LED. Oh, I see. It's Danny Boyd. Don't produce the resistance which incandescents do. Oh yeah, they don't draw the current. That's why you put a resistor in there so they'll draw more current, and it messes with the turn signals. Yeah, that's why they make flashers for LEDs, which we bought them, put them in, and they work great. Works perfectly, and they're like they have, instead of having two prongs, they have three, and you ground one and you plug the other one in, and it adds enough resistance that it works. Works quite well. I'm in Indiana, Colleen. What about you? I spent in Indiana. How far up in Indiana? Man, I used to live in Rantoul, Illinois, which is right by Indiana. My fuel gauge is a piece of broom handle. Yeah. Does it float? There are airplanes that have the gas tank. Oh, like an old Model T or A or something, and there's a little float right there that has the gas gauge. I replaced everything but the gauges themselves, and no, the fuel and temp gauge don't work. You know, it says he has replaced the...
Yeah.
If
you wanted to test, I would test what voltage you're getting out of the voltage limiter. because I was running into where the LED bulbs that we were trying to use, something about there wasn't enough current going through. Oh, jeez.
I know where South Bend is. Yeah.
You needed to have
I went to an air show there one time.
the oil pressure and the fuel sending unit hooked to the voltage regulator, or else it just didn't put out enough. It didn't draw enough current to put out enough voltage for things to work right. It was kind of a really wonky system.
Oh.
And, but once we put the new sending unit in the tank, then we had the sending unit there. That helped.
Hey, Mexican Spec, good to see you here. Thank you. Happy birthday, he says. Any more
That's
to come?
awesome.
With the help of Mexican medication. Man, there's been a lot of medication from Mexico in my life. But I'm not living on the border. I'm 1,100 miles from the border, so it's got real inconvenient. I see. One-Eyed Cat says marked in 4-gallon increments. It's not a float, it's a dipstick. That's pretty good. Ford gauges can be tested with a 9-volt battery. And I assume that Chrysler gauges are similar. You see, I thought they were 6, but maybe they are 9. I don't know.
Yeah, but a 9-volt battery would.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it would tell you if it was working or not.
Hola, Mexican Spec. I've heard Mexican Spec speak, and he does not sound Mexican. He sounds... he grew up in the U.S. So, Iceman, 435 more subs, and you could race the no-name shows. Wow, I gotta see if I gotta remind me. Iceman, we got a sub. I could change the leads back to regular bulbs and see what happens. Road trip, yeah. You know, I did take one road trip to way down eastern Texas, which is some small town, border town there. Went across the bridge, went in, bought meds, came back and drove back. But that was 2,200 miles of driving to go buy meds. So I've been getting meds locally, which is big pain. Thought you meant eucalyptus at first. Not really. I'm too busy to race. Too busy to race. What do you got? So one of those jobs. I had one of those jobs for years. I worked a job for 15 years, and they give me a week's vacation every year, and I try to get the whole week off at the same time, and the guy's reaction was, if I don't need you for a week, I don't need you at all. So I take like 2 days off at a time. Get like 5 days a year off. That was terrible. And then the next place I worked, I got like 36 days a year off. It was wonderful. It's 36 days, and it included sick leave or holidays or anything, and use them the way you saw fit. It was wonderful. That was the last place I worked. 15 years I worked there. Had good, it was good. My meds are Coors Light. Coors Light, that's like real close to water, isn't it?
Oh, man.
I like Coors. I don't drink anymore. I might have a beer like once or twice a year, but Coors Light to me was the lightest of the light beer, and I like the regular Coors. But like I said, I don't really drink anymore. I have a occasional beer. I was at my son's house for my birthday. We celebrated on Sunday night, and he handed me a beer, and it was like Colleen gave me. It was a Bud. What are those things called? What is that beer called that Colleen gave me? A Bud something. Has no alcohol in it.
It was something zero.
Bud Zero. That's a good beer. You can't tell a difference. It tastes like a Bud Light, and it's no alcohol. I bought a couple of those since then, Colleen. They're good deal. Thanks. I've had my Charger for close to 10 years. Only 2 street races. Yeah, you got to be careful street racing. That's how I ended up in jail. And that was a long time ago. But I don't know. I don't really care to race on the street. I like to get on the interstate and jump on it, and it just takes off. You know, that's fun. Then you get into traffic and drive with the traffic. I don't know. That's kind of what I like. I like long trips. I drove from here to Oregon and back, I don't know, a few months ago. Interesting trip. I've gone 6 months without a job twice in the last 7 years. And it rocked. Really? Longest I was ever unemployed while I was employed for 55 years was I went 3 weeks without a job one time, and I was in trouble. And I said I'd never work on cars again, and I got a job working on cars in a wheel alignment shop. And I was really happy to have that job. I worked there for 6 months, and I opened up my second radiator shop. It's not just a job, but one kid in college, playing football, a daughter in cheer competition, home renovations, and getting married this summer. Yeah, you know, I was at that point in my life for a while, and yeah, that's when I was working at the place where I had 1 week. I had 5 days vacation a year, and I was in that same position. Only it wasn't football; it was baseball, and it was a few other, basically the same kind of stuff. And life just gets in the way, you know. You just can't do all this stuff. And now I'm retired, so I'm broke, but I'm retired. That means I'm on Social Security. But I own a house, and I got a place to stay, and Social Security, I can live on it. Barely, but I can live on it.
We got a nice place.
Kim yells at me, I've got a nice place. Yeah, I do. We've got a house that's okay. We've got we've got some land, and we've got a shop that's wonderful. And that's the part that's good. I spend all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. It's not about speed, it's about the people. You know, all those years that I worked hard, worked a lot, I look back, and those are the things I did that were the best things I did. They're the things I know the most about. And unfortunately, I can't talk a lot about it. But yeah, it's basically a self-taught aircraft designer, and my stuff all worked, and people wanted me to work for them, and my stuff worked. Indirect connection, gotta go to bed. Happy birthday again, Buff. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everyone.
Sounds like you need a week off from everything. Yeah. You know, I know what it's like though. Iceman, I know what it's like. There were like a decade I didn't really take any time off other than doing stuff with the kids, you know. And it was still enjoyable. Looking back on it, I enjoyed, you know, coaching a little league and doing all the things we did, you know. Auto Salvage Outlaws, hello. Thanks for showing up. What time is it? We're like an hour and 22 into it.
Oh yeah, that went fast. It was like 40 minutes when last
I'm
time
one of those
I looked.
types that just has to work and stuff. And my job is super good. I have 4 weeks of vacation a year, usually taking the family on trips. So that's really good. You get 4 weeks of vacation, that's a good thing to have. And liking your job is a big deal. You know, for 15 years I didn't make a lot of money, but I had a job that was great. I designed airplanes, and I ran the whole production facility, and it was and I did a lot of flight testing, and and flew at air shows, and the air shows are a pain because you're away from home and you're busy every minute while you're there. But looking back, that was a very enjoyable time. It was a great job. It was fun job.
Yes, today is the birthday. 70.
Today I turned 70. You know, I woke up last night. I slept early and got up, and it was like 10 minutes to midnight. Kim was in her room. I walked in there. I said, hey, in 10 minutes, this is the last 10 minutes, I'll be 59. She looks at me and goes, 69. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the last 10 minutes, I'll be 69. I almost cut 10 years out of it. And then 10 minutes later, I said, well, I made it. I'm 70.
Iceman, that's better than hot rodding or than racing any day. Going to get ice cream is the best thing you can do in an old hot rod.
And what cars did I have when I was doing the Little League and all that stuff? Oh, I know. I had A-body GM cars, the front drivers. I had several of them. The one I always wanted was a Pontiac 6000. Never got one. I had celebrities, celebrity Euro Sport Wagon. I had, oh, it was what are those Buicks? Buick Centuries. Not exciting cars, but they got us around.
Technically, you're only 69.
Why? He is 85. Oh, it's his father's birthday. Technically, you're only 69. Why? Tell me about this.
Thanks for coming by, Tim.
Tim 72 Demon Boss says dinner time. Gotta run. Enjoy the birthday. Thanks for showing up, Tim. Good to see you, and thank you. My grandpa never got older than 39. Yeah. You know, when I turned 50, I started counting backwards, and I was 49, 48, but that didn't work. I tried. You're almost 70 when you include gestation. Yeah, I don't know what day that was. I do know I was born about 2:30 in the morning in Pacific time, California. My paid time off is what keeps me sane. I get about 50 days a year of vacation time. Man, that is good. The best job I had, like I said, I got 36 days paid a year, and that was really good. And I really enjoyed the job. I was doing defense contractor stuff and really heavy into flight testing and modifying already airplanes and designing airplanes. It was a good run. Because you weren't born being a year old. Let me think about that. So I've been through 70 years, though. Have I been through 70? No, this is 70, so she's right. Because actually I'm just like I'm zero. Because I was born in 54, and this is 24, so I'm 70 years away from being zero. Yeah, she's right. Dan, definitely not the government. Oh yeah. Who do you work for? I don't know who you work for, but what do you do? Jeffro, what do you do for a job? Because all I ever see you do is work on the cars.
I'm guessing education, right?
I don't know. He lives so close to where I used to live. And it's just like, man, I can just see those roads, and it's just a nice place. Until the winter comes along, it's kind of cold. Boss I was with at the end of 1980, and I'm not sure how many days of paid vacation I gave myself per year. I'm going to go with 0. Swedish, Norwegians, Poles. Definitely not the government. Yeah, the only time I actually worked for the government was when I was in the military. I was in the Air Force for 10 years, but as all the other stuff I did, I worked for contractors. Not the CIA. Yeah. Man, I had a friend, a guy that did fiberglass that I met years ago, and I was really busy in my own shop doing stuff, and he called me and he was up in Michigan, wanted me to come up there and help him work in a fiberglass shop, and I always wanted to work for the guy because he was so knowledgeable, but I was busy, and I couldn't go up there. But what they did was they built a van for the government, and they had like a 2.5-ton Ford chassis, and they rented a Ford van, and they disassembled the whole thing, and they pulled molds off of it, put the van all back together, took it back to where they rented it. It only had like 5 miles or something on it, and they had it for a couple of weeks, and they're like, what did you do with it? And they told me used it in the commercial, and they were all happy about it. But what they really did was they pulled molds off of it, and they built a van out of like 2-inch thick Kevlar. They built a bulletproof Ford van on I think it was a 2.5-ton chassis, and it was for some government thing. It's like, man, I kind of wish I would have worked on the project, but I was busy. I just don't get the math. You don't celebrate a kid's first birthday till their 1 passes. So with Buff, 70 years have passed since his birth, so he is 70 years old. Okay, Mexican Spec and Colleen are going to discuss this, and I'm going to wait to see the results.
They'll work it out for sure.
So, Jeffro never says what he does for a living.
Maybe he can't say.
Strike that. I get the math now. I thought about it. Oh, okay. So Mexican Spec is now in agreement with Colleen. But I am 70 years old. I am this just traditional way of counting. 70.
Well, we got a lot done. If you think about from this time last year, how much we got done. Like, could you even get into the garage yet this time last year?
I don't know, but it was so cold we couldn't get in there. See, what I'm drinking is this stuff.
Fizzy water.
Fizzy water.
Oh, we're using that camera. We got two cameras, so I can.
Oh, I'm putting it up to the
toggle
wrong
back and
camera.
forth. There you go.
Oh, where am I? Yeah, it's just got no sugar, no sweeteners in it. I really like Diet Coke and Diet Mountain Dew and Diet. What's the one John drinks?
I don't know. But we got a question.
So data analytics, compliance. So oh man.
What are our dream cars? What's
your dream cars? I don't know if I could have anything. 69 Barracuda, the fastback. Really like those. Really like those. That would be the top of my list. But, they can't get those anymore. Not unless you got, like win the lottery or something. God, I don't know. Data analytics. My youngest son writes code. He sits there all day writing code. I don't know. I've asked him, how can you do that? I got to get up and move around. Even though I don't like to move around a lot when I'm tired, I still got to get up. I can't sit at a desk like that. That's the hard part. Just use the day number of the month. Just use the day number of the month. For the record, I know the day my son was conceived. His birthday is exactly 9 months from mine. Needless to say, no more birthday fun for me ever. So Mexican Spec, you're, I don't know. I've talked to you. I've heard your voice. What are you? Probably about 45 or something. You're probably in your 40s, I think. I don't know. The only dream car I ever left is a 56 Continental. Oh, man. Yeah, 56 Continental Mark II would be something. But, see, you don't like... Mexican Spec doesn't like modified cars so much. And I do. And, see, I wouldn't feel bad getting a 69 Barracuda and putting the engine in it I want and, put some instruments I want and making the upholstery the way I want it, paint the color I want. I wouldn't feel bad doing that at all. And a 56 Lincoln Continental, or it's not a Lincoln, 56 Continental Mark II, all you could ever do to that car is try to keep it perfectly stock. When I was young, I delivered pizza to the apartment. I was probably conceived. 50. You're 57? No. You're 57. Mexican Spec's 57. I remember being 57. That was good. I'd like to be 57 again. Mexican streets are tough. Oh, he's asking. I'm lucky, Buff. I work from home. 25 years in the corporate world, and I stick out like a sore thumb. Man, I was really lucky the last two places I worked. They kind of let me do what I wanted. They had things they wanted me to do, but they let me be really creative. And, I see, I'm back to this camera. So I like to be really creative, and they let me be creative. They had airplanes that didn't fly right, and I'd look at it and figure out what was wrong and do, like, aerodynamic changes and changes to wings and make new pieces and parts, and we go out and test fly them and they'd work. So they were always happy with me. So they kind of let me have a lot of freedom. And so what's this calling to? Your car. Make your car your money. Your car your money. Yes, they are. I would stress so much having that car. Yeah. Buff, what's your foreign dream car? Foreign dream car. Foreign dream car. Oh, man. Oh, you're going to laugh. A Chevy Beaumont. Because it's Canadian. camera's more blurry. Kim,
Yeah.
I said this camera's more blurry. And
It
Kim,
is kind of more blurry. I'll switch
Kim left the room. She goes, we're going to have to live with it for a few minutes. So let's see. That's not a fair answer for a foreign dream car. I don't know. It'd probably be a... I'm not sure. You know, as unreliable as they are, there's a Jaguar four-door that's called a... Kim, what's that Jaguar called? It's not a Jaguar. It's like an extended long XJ6 or XJ12. Oh, I can't think of it, but I'll think of it.
Jaguar.
Um,
I don't know.
I'll think of it. I like those. I don't know. Or a Russian Volga. A Russian Volga, there you go. But if I had a chance for my dream job and I passed on it, I'd be retired by now. You know, there's times I look back, I was in the Air Force for 10 years. If I'd stayed in the Air Force for 10 more, I'd have a check anyway. I like 70 Japanese cars, the common ones. You know, my favorite Japanese car back then was the original Celica. The original Celica was a nice car. Oh, and of course, the original 240Z. That was quite a car.
Well, tell them about that 300.
Oh, the Aston Martin. Yeah, the Aston Martin I like is the early 2000s, like an 02 or 03 Aston Martin. Those were pretty nice. XKEs were nice. Oh, here's another story. I had a friend that had an XKE, and it was a 61, and it was a driver. A little rough, but not too rough. And this was like in 1975 or 76. And he wanted $900 for it. And I thought it was too much money, and I passed on it, and he sold it. Oh, do I kick myself for that? Yeah. I should have bought that. It was a
Kick you too.
driver. It ran. It was a little rough around the edges, but so what?
Well,
yes, the Celica was a great car.
We do have a Z car. We have the 300Z.
300Z. Oh, yeah, you bought a 300Z.
The burgundy one. We have one.
She bought a 300Z with extra engines and...
I've got two motors.
a hood.
I think the one's blown motor, but there's a replacement motor, and it's a 5-speed manual, so that's a really valuable transmission. Just the transmission's worth what I paid for the car.
It's the interim Z car. It's the wedge-shaped one. Mm-hmm. It's not the rounded off one. It's not the original one. It's the wedge-shaped one. And I remember driving those when they were new, and I had a boss had one, and he let me use it for a week or so. That was a nice car. Who else is... Yeah, hard to beat the Aston. Yeah, the only thing about the Aston is you got that V12 that's, you don't want to have to work on that engine. E-Jag steel roof with the refrigerator door. The one that I should have bought. It was a ragtop, and that's what was ratty about it. Was a ragtop. It was kind of ratty. 82 to 86 Supra. There's another car. I had a girlfriend back then. She was looking for a car. We went out and drove the first Supra, which must have been, that was 82. And I drove that thing. I loved that car. I thought that was the first Japanese car that was really refined like the new ones are. That Supra was a nice car. Then I had a 83 and 85. What's the 83 and 85? Oh, the Supras.
Maybe
Supras, yeah. Yeah, thing is now they're all old, and you got to look for a good one.
Yeah, that 300 was kind of it's a project car at best.
I've never wanted an exotic car. Give me a 60s Cadillac hearse, and I am happy. The 59 Cadillac was really something. I was in kindergarten, and I thought that 59 Cadillac was the car, My father said, I don't like those fins. My father's old traditional kind of guy. He goes, I don't like those fins. The trunk's too high. You got to lift stuff over the back. Oh, 59 Chevy. Somebody we knew bought a 59 Chevy. They had to lift stuff over the back to get in the trunk. And he strongly disliked anything with fins on it. And me being a little kid and all the new cars with fins, man, I just thought, yeah, we need a car with fins. Yeah, and my favorite of the old Cadillacs, really the way they look, was probably a 61 or 62 Cadillac. I like that body style. Have money for an Aston Martin buff. You're probably not working on it yourself. I never have money to have people work on my cars. I've had to do it a few times because I'm too busy and always regretted it. Always regretted it because it cost a lot and really marginal work. I've driven and worked on 83 several times. First time I drove it, it's like, damn, this is a good driving car compared to the 82 Mustang GTI at the time. Mustang pulled way harder. You know, Fox body Mustangs are Fox body everything. I had a couple of Fairmonts. I had a Fairmont Futura that I just loved that car. Girlfriend ended up with it. I had a first year 78 Fairmont wagon and then some Mustangs. Built some Mustangs for friends. Everyone overlooked the Caddy 500. Not everybody. What's his name? Richard Holdner has one. I thought he was going to put it in a Nova. Didn't Richard Holdner have a 500 Cadillac? He was going to put it in a Nova. I love my 83. If any of you know who Richard Holdner is, he's a dyno guy that's YouTuber.
Jeff, you can't jump cars.
I love my 83. It was my first car. I ran it. My first car was a 64 Ford Galaxy, 289 and C4. Later to have a 351 Windsor and FMX, and then later pulled it apart and built the 351 Windsor, and that was a running car. I really liked that thing. I shouldn't have sold it. Weren't very heavy. Contrary, I think the only thing that was bad about those 500 Caddies was the intake manifold was sunk way down in there. It was really strange looking runner shapes. But I don't know, maybe it worked well. I think it was done for hood clearance reasons.
I had a Corolla with that 22R motor, and it was a 5-speed. But it wasn't a Corona, it was a Corolla. Mine was. I think it was an 82, and it was the first car No, it wasn't really the first. It was one of my first cars.
The foreign cars I have owned, I have a Mazda 6 right now. It's actually turned out to be a pretty reliable car. It's a late model for me. It's a 16, and I had 9 miles on it when I got it, and it's got like 130 on it now. And it just doesn't have trouble. It has trouble with electronic stuff that is an annoyance, infotainment system stuff, and what did I put here? 1 person buff. They were overlooked. Where is this? Where is this? I don't know what she's talking about.
That's right, Tom.
What did I miss?
Kind of hard to go on the highway with it, though, isn't it, Tom? A Model T?
Roy Bailey. I'll keep driving the 1916 Model T. You know what? I really wanted you to race the monkey bike because Kim didn't have the fastest monkey bike there, and it would have been kind of a fun race. They were very well matched. You know, it probably just would have driven down the track together. It would have been fun, but you didn't want to do it. And I guess Kim maybe didn't want to do it either. Nobody
it would have
wanted
been
that.
fun.
What was this?
I think he's talking about the 500 or the 501.
Oh.
Wasted a lot of gas.
Oh yeah, because when they came out, but I mean you can fix all that. I've always liked 500 Cadillac. I think it's a pretty cool engine, just because nobody else messes with them.
Oh, you know what someone mentioned dream cars. Maybe not dream car, but I was looking at the new. Remember we've looked at them before. The newest generation of the Thunderbird, the last ones.
Oh, the little
convertible
2-seaters.
ones. They're pretty.
I like those cars.
Yeah.
But they're
I was looking like $9,000 for that car. I was like,
we were up in Maryland and we were getting gas, and this guy pulled in a black one that was for sale.
Yeah.
And it just looked brand spanking new, and it was a 20-year-old car, you know.
Gorgeous.
But it was. But you want a lot of money for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of a useless car, you know.
Well, yeah, they're just a toy.
So, you talk about foreign cars. Okay, so I had the Mazda. I had a bunch of Mazda rotary engine cars that I used to buy back in the 70s that were no good, and then I knew how to rebuild the engines, so I'd put engines in them and sell them or drive them. What else did I have that was foreign? Man, did I have anything else? I've had, see, I was working for a defense contractor, so I was on a bunch of mini leases all the time. So which would be one or two, it's really a rental car for 1 or 2 or 3 months. And I had a lot of, we're a little, Hyundai, what's a small Hyundai? Hyundai, begins with an A, Elantra.
Mm-hmm.
Those were like, just like cool little get around town cars. I took one on a trip once and it wasn't bad, but man, I mean, you get in on a parking spaces and they're light feel. I like that car, but it's, who likes that? I did, but it's not a speedy car. What else I had? The reason I bought the Mazda 6 is because I had a mini lease Mazda 6, and I came back to Maryland, and my car took a crap, and I went right to the Mazda dealer and bought one because I liked the rental I had. 81, and had I not, that was kind of an impulse buy. If I'd not done that, I probably would have gone and bought a Mustang, but I didn't. The 81 had the 302 available. Biggest engine was the 255 V8. What was that? Don't know. Yep, 285, 255. That was a small. That was a small block Ford, I think. Excel. So did mine. Yeah, it was slipped like crazy.
Oh, I owned an Excel once.
Oh yeah, Elantra. It was an Elantra.
Or maybe it was an Accent.
Roy Bailey. Hello, Roy. Yep, Elantra. Jeff, I send everyone to your channel to see the race. Jeff, right now, I just can't stop watching him and that new front engine dragster. Yeah. Well, I'm a tubing guy. I built structures out of tubing, so that's like, ooh, it's right up my alley. But I never built a car out of tubing. This 82 needs some love. So I built airplanes out of tubing, and covered them with aluminum, and built aluminum wings, and all the composites. Just gotta apply all that to cars. Timing control on that is super cool.
Isn't it a lever? The timing, a lever on the.
Oh yeah, you're right.
On an old car like that.
Yeah, you move the timing and.
Yeah, some advance.
This story about my father. He used to talk about the Model T and the Model A, and when I was a little kid, he goes, "Oh yeah, Model A was a much better car." Well, when he was 2 years old, this would have been 1929, his mother died, and he had an older brother that was 5. So he was 2, his brother was 5, and his father, at the beginning of the Depression, and his father had a new Model A, and they had cousins in California. They lived in Tampa, Florida, and his father put the 2 boys in the Model A and drove them to Sacramento, California. Can you imagine that? In a Model A. It was a new car, but still going along. Whatever it was.
Like a rough ride.
3,000
probably weren't all that
3,000 miles. I asked my grandfather when I was a little kid, I go, "How fast did you go?" And he goes, "Well, the speed limit was 35, but we always couldn't always do that." And he carried 2 extra tires and spoons, so when they had a flat, they'd take the tire off the rim and put the new tire and tube on, and then pump it up with air, and then they're back on the road again. It was a different time. And yes, and then a year later, he got a job in New York City. So my grandfather managed to stay employed through the Depression. Drove back out to California, picked up his 2 sons, drove to New York. So my father grew up in New York City. But man, that's 2 drives across the country in a Model A. I just can't imagine doing that. I want so much distributor had power windows, AM, FM, under roof. That was about it. The 82 was like 80 miles from home though. I never understood how Ford got those stupid clutch fans so loud. Start it first thing in the morning on high idle. Sounds like a plane taking off. Yeah, you know, my old cars, I built radiators, so I build like mounts in the radiator. Before anybody was doing electric fans, somebody was. I was doing electric fans, and then in the tanks, on the cool side and the warm side, I'd put a fitting in there, and I used the sensors from Audis. So when the hot side started to get hot, one fan would come on, and when the cool side of the radiator started warming up, getting hot, the second fan would come on. I did that a lot, and it worked. And those were, God, back in the day, Flexolite fans. Well, that was in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I got rid of the fan noise. Although now I don't mind it. I kind of like the engine-driven fan. It's simple. It's wall-to-wall taillights. What had wall-to-wall taillights? 66 Thunderbird, 67 Thunderbird, 68 Thunderbird. Some Buicks. Begging for sequentials. Oh, yeah. 65 Thunderbird. I remember that. Had sequentials. And my 67 Cougar had sequentials. And you know how that worked? I thought it was electronic. I went in there because I had problems with it, and there's this big bundle of foam and tape, and I cut it and opened it. I got all this foam and stuff open. And in there was electric motors with little green plastic camshafts in these points. And that motor would turn and go click, 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 and that's what made the sequential turn signals work, like in the Thunderbirds and the Cougars back then.
Oh, wow.
So you go in there and file the points and fix the broken stuff, and then make it. It was all mechanical. Anything covered headlight? Yeah, they ended that. I like the covered headlights. I don't know about the electrical system 80 through 82 T-Bird. That was a Fox body, wasn't it? I think. I'll get living along the way in cars. 81 Thunderbird had wall-to-wall. 81. What did an 81 look like? 81. Okay, 70. Oh, was that the big one? It looks like a Lincoln Mark IV. Big, heavy. That was a road-hugging weight. Have to convert to 5-lug on a set of the older T-Bird turbine wheels. I had a 176 horse 5.0 and T5. 175 horse. Yeah, but you can fix that. Oh, Squarebird. Oh, those. Oh, yeah, okay, sure.
Okay, yeah.
I know the one you mean. Well, the Squarebird was actually 58 through 60, but I know the one you mean. I can't think what they call that.
It's a Fox body almost, isn't it?
I think it is. The muffler shop next door to me, the guy bought his wife one of those. He was, when I had my second radiator shop, there was a muffler shop next to me. And the only car to have wall-to-wall headlights and taillights, well, that would have been a Mercury, Sable. I had a 93 Sable wagon, had this big wide light all the way across the front. Then it had a burned out bulb. So I went in there and took all the bulbs out and put amber bulbs in it. So it looked cool. I could see my wife coming like 2 miles down there because big wide amber light across the front of the car.
Hey, Dizzy Izzy.
She didn't know. Dizzy Izzy.
Welcome to the birthday stream.
Thank you. Okay, am I right about that with the? Oh, she says Cougar. A Cougar. It could have been. Iceman, what's the answer to that trivia question?
Cougar and a Sable are pretty similar model.
Oh, Sable was rounded off the. I don't know. They did a lot of that kind of stuff. They had a 2-year-old 81 T-Bird that had automatic headlights. It only turned on the headlights without the running lights. It did get better with age. Cougar, an 80 T-Bird in Vegas that accelerated itself without broken motor mount. Sable didn't have wall-to-wall taillights, though. Now, I couldn't remember what the back of the Sable looked like because mine was a wagon, so it had vertical. The turbine jet car. Oh, yeah, of course. I saw one of those. Twice I saw one of those. I saw one in a museum, Harrah's in Nevada, and I saw one in 1965 in Nebraska, and it was on the road. And I didn't know what it was. I thought somebody customized a Thunderbird. And then I saw a model of it later and figured out what it was. I was growing up, their shop car was a white 58-ish T-Bird with a giant red cowboy hat mounted over the roof. You know, I don't know if any of you watch Bad Chad. This Canadian guy that does all this custom body work. He did a 58 Thunderbird, and he shortened the top way up so it was a two-seater. And that was an interesting thing he did. I do watch him sometimes, learn a lot from him. Cougar was a guess. 1990 Grand Prix sedan. Oh, it did. I forgot about those headlight things across the front of the Grand Prix. I forgot about those. I like that body style. I like wall-to-wall taillights. Just so many cars have them now. My old 68 Cougar would have looked good with wall-to-wall. You know, 67 or 68 Cougar. My 67, of course, the license plate was in that hole. But I always thought about getting another taillight, sectioning it, putting it in there. I just never did it. But I thought about it. The other thing, that 67 and 8 Cougar, the little thing in the middle of the grill, the divider, has a little opening in it with a picture of the Mercury logo. I took that out. Mine was just blank. I was gonna find that. I never did find it. The pictures. John Wilburn has those pictures for me. I don't remember. I just don't remember. Somewhere I have pictures of Cougar. Okay. What time is it? Oh, we're getting there. Okay.
We're up about 2 hours.
We're going to go 2 hours.
Okay.
I don't have time to look for the Cougar pictures. But, okay, now this is like we need to know from people here. Would you like us to do a live once a week? And I'm thinking it's Tuesday night. We could just continue with this. It's Tuesday at 7 Central. Do a live. Is anybody interested in that? Would it be fun? I don't know. Grand Prix STE was a weird one. Had the Turbo 3.1 by McLaren. Oh, I didn't even know about that. Turbo 3.1. Man. I wonder if I ever saw a turbine car. Well, they're around. There's Jay Leno's, and there's a couple of museums up in Michigan. And Danny Boyd, I think you're in Ohio. You're not far from those two museums up in Michigan. Lives are always fun. Well, that's a good reaction. Okay, so Tuesday night at 7, should we do this again? Did you know the earliest Cougars had a certain logo on the right side headlight? Yes. Jaguar sued Mercury and they had to change. No, I didn't know that. Oh. Yes. Roy Bailey says yes. I'm not sure what yes is, but yes to the live. I'm assuming that's a yes to the live. Dan says yes. Okay, so we only got a couple of minutes here.
We had a lot of people stop in and say hello, and lots of birthday wishes. Thank you, everyone, for doing
68
that.
people came in.
Yeah, and lots of good conversation, cool community.
Live Tuesday at 8 would be better. Well, it'd be 8 your time, Colleen.
Meme show is at 7.
Wait a minute.
She's saying start later. Well, you could just come in later. We wouldn't be upset.
Well, we could start at 8 Central, which Colleen's time would be 9. So, Colleen, which is it? We're fighting the time zones here. Yes, alive. 7, I'm in Central. We're in Tennessee. So we're in Central time. We started tonight at 7, and now we're coming up on 9 o'clock.
It's usually live at 8:30.
Rob.
Yeah, we're trying not to conflict with anybody.
Yeah, I don't want to conflict with anybody.
There's always somebody kind of streaming in the evening, so like you kind of just have to pick your time,
Well,
and people can bounce around and back and forth. We're not offended.
I chose Tuesday this week because it was my birthday, and I said it was a goal, do this by my 70th birthday. So here we are. The other reason I chose Tuesday is because of Slant Daily and Dallas on Wednesday.
We like to watch that.
Thursday, there's another thing that I do that doesn't have anything to do with cars. And then Friday's John Wilburn's, and I don't want to conflict with any of those. Yeah, we're on Central Time. So Colleen.
No, not all of Tennessee is Central.
No, not all of Tennessee is Central.
Eastern.
Some of it's Eastern. We're in the Central part. We're in the Central Time part. So, Colleen, it's 10 there. So we started tonight at 8 your time. So is that good for you to start at 8 your time or Colleen? Oh, I was giving you your time. She's giving us our time. Kim, can you decorate the background like you did at Christmas? Oh, we need a Christmas tree?
Oh, we've got all kinds of stuff, right? We've got all kinds of.
See, I brought some. Oh, you're knocking stuff on the floor.
Down.
I brought some props, like I brought drill bits.
So I've got, check this out.
Duct tape, I don't know.
I've got, for background, I have the green screen, and then we can be wherever we want to be. I can eliminate the green screen. I know how to do that, but we were just practicing.
Thank you, Dizzy Izzy.
Yeah, so we can.
My timing sucks.
We'll be able to we'll be on location sometimes because I can stream from up in the garage too when the weather's nice.
You know, we do have good internet up in the garage.
Yeah,
and we could do that right there while we're
working,
beating on something or what.
Yeah, and then we can stream from the dyno room.
Not Christmas decorations, just decorations. Yeah, I was kidding about Christmas. Starting at 7 is nice for us Eastern time people. Yeah, which is 8 your time. See, we're worldwide here, but I mean, mostly it's U.S. and Mexico, so we're mostly dealing with 4 time zones. And of course, Canada. So it's mostly 4 time zones. So, I don't know, 7. Let's just say next week it's 7. And we're over 2 hours. So, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. This went very well.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody. You've been amazing. Next time we will try and do even more. We'll be able to set up for guests. Like I can do these extra camera things, and maybe we could use StreamYard in the future to bring in guests. Oh, I forgot to ask
Adios.
about. Everybody's leaving, but I forgot to ask about Discord. Is anybody interested in joining a Discord server if I set that up?
I don't even know what Discord is.
Yeah.
Thanks, Buff and Kim.
We'll talk about it next time. So
I got a phone call coming in. I got to take it.
All right, everybody. We love you.
Give me a minute.
We'll see you next time.
Yep. Goodbye. Thanks, everybody. Best birthday present I could have.